Alright guys, what's up? So we went ahead and got all of this torn apart. I'll show you my busted up spindle here. See how the top broke off. So we're gonna be changing this out. I do, if you remember, I put bearing spacers in here for the first time. So I'm gonna end up having to take rotor and all that stuff off to get my bearing spacers. I think that's also gonna require me to have to get a new seal, possibly? I'm not 100% sure. We're gonna find out. Maybe I'll get lucky and it'll all come off and just go right back onto the other one without having to adjust the bearing spacer. Maybe I'll get lucky. I highly doubt it, but maybe I'll get lucky. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that torn apart. But on a different note, I got some parts. Well, I guess it's not on a different note, kind of the same note. I went with BHE this time and got myself a spindle. And the best part about buying a spindle through them is they had already, boom, reamed out the lower ball joint hole, and they drilled out the tie rod bolt mount. So I am freaking stoked. So this showed up today. I've been waiting on it, but it's here and it's gonna be ready to rock and roll already. So I don't have to deal with reaming stuff out and all that craziness. But I'm glad there's that video, so you guys have that skill if you need it. But this is gonna be so much easier. A couple extra bucks to do it that way, but so worth it. Then, before I went to Bristol, I talked to you about my chain limiter up here on the left front. And we talked about some of the cool Gucci stuff that they got out there and all of that happy stuff. And while I was on the BHE website, I decided to go ahead and get me one of these fancy dancy fandangled Dare limit chains for the left front. So I got my 1.5 inch bracket up top, comes down to the Weir's pin adjuster here, which is awesome because I'm going to be able to adjust this 1/4 inch at a time, right? So that'll be really sweet. I just got to drill out and mount on the lower control arm. When I go to do that, there's going to be a handful of things that at least that I know I'm going to have to do and that we're going to have to watch for, and we'll talk about that. This came pre-shrink wrapped like this. I don't know yet if I'm a super fan of the way they shrink wrap this. Usually when I do it, I would do like 2 or 3 chains, leave a link alone, do 2 or 3 chains, leave a link alone. That way it has a little bit more bendability right in the center for when it collapses, right? And it isn't just because this is pretty stiff. Granted, that's not gonna really affect your race car, I don't think. But I just like having that little bit of extra collapsibility in it. I'm sure it'll wear itself to a point where there's a soft spot in there anyways. But who knows? That's just my preference. So got this lower control arm, spring, all that stuff out of here. Now it's time to inspect for more broken stuff. We know the shock's gone. And I got to get the brake caliper mount and stuff off the old spindle and get the rotor and all that jazz off this old spindle so that we can start getting ready to go back together with the left front. So let's have at it. There we go. go. There we go. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, so I got this off now. Got myself a hammer, a screwdriver. I don't have one of them fancy tools that pull off the dust cap, so you know, I use my fancy tool to do it. Sometimes you can get lucky and just kind of tap it and it'll pop off, but I'm never that lucky. So it don't take much, you just need a little bit. Give it that little twist to get out. Boop. Bam, victory is ours. Okay, so these are those wheel bearings we just greased, and I'm gonna do my darndest here to keep them as clean as possible. There we go. Okay, the retainer off, and there we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. Oh, victory! Next piece I want to do is put the control arm back on. I left the spring in there like a bum, like a lazy bum, but because of the retainers that I added, but that's not going to hurt anything because I'm going to be able to back it off and figure that out. So I'm going to clean the dirt off around my bushings here, and then when I re-grease it, see, look, there's lots of good clean grease in there. When I go to re-grease it, it'll create another wonderful barrier for dirt. I just want to look and see here. So the outside of that bushing gets grease, or if this piece gets grease, yep, just fine, nice and clean. Go ahead, use another. Awesome. Nice and clean. Measured the control arm. It's only a 1/16 of an inch bent on that end. I'm not going to worry about a 1/16 of an inch because honestly I've raced with way worse, but I don't think that's going to make that big a deal. Kind of clean stuff up here. Okay. So I got my front bolt here. It's going to go in. I am going to clean it up. I am also going to anti-seize it before I put it back in, just like I did last time. But we'll clean it up, get all the dirt and stuff off of it. And this is the bolt for the one in the front because it's got the little point. I am replacing this bolt with a slightly longer bolt because the nylock wasn't quite reaching the tip of this bolt, and it allowed it to get loose. I'm glad I caught it during a nut and bolt check, but make sure that you're using the right length hardware if you're using nylocks, and make sure that the nylock is actually you know, activated or not activated, but in contact. So kind of sitting there kind of close. So remember, if you want it to come apart, Anna sees it. If you don't want it to come apart, Anna thread lock it. That was a lot more than I needed, to be honest. In fact, I'm gonna try to, I got a little crazy there, my bad. Not gonna lie, I do that a lot. I'll wipe a little bit of it off. It'll be alright. It'll buff out. Alright, so now I got my bolts anti-seized and ready to rock and roll. Oh, here we go. And that one's lined up. Just needs a couple little wiggles and a love tap. Because of that little collar that this one's got. When it gets to the other side, sometimes it gets hung up, so you might need to give it literally just little love taps. You don't want to beat and bang on it and bend anything. And a nut on the back side. And this time, the nylock's actually gonna grab. Woo! 3/4 inch. Oh. Because I'm not looking to squeeze these closed on accident. I always use wrenches. Uh-oh. Somebody making stuffed beef outside. Good. So just tight enough to where it ain't gonna wiggle back and forth around in there. And then should be good to go. And then if I remember correctly, the front is a 9/16 and the back is 3/4 inch. So, okay. Boom! Rock on. Alright, so we got our lower control arm hanging here. Still got the spring in it because I got the spring keepers down here to keep it from twisting. Or popping out of the pocket rather. Which is, I don't know, they seem pretty nifty so far. I can, like I said earlier, I could see how they'd be a pain in the butt when you go to change the spring, because that's just more time you're wasting changing the spring. So, alright, this thing's still moving really good. It's still greased up really well. So, what I did want to do is the bearing that I put inside this OD cup, I am going to clean up and shove back in there. Got my bearing. Check out all that dirt that bearing picked up. It's alright, we're gonna get her cleaned off and greased back up. Seemed to work really well. Everything stayed very fluid with the car the whole time driving it. Like everything just kind of flowed. But this is definitely going to be a major maintenance item. I don't think, unless I hit this with a bunch of brake clean or put it in a parts washer and really scrub it, I don't think I'm ever going to get this thing perfect. That's not terrible. A handful of wipe downs and it cleaned up pretty good, I think. So, alright, set this off to the side. Awesome. Now we're going to clean up our thrust washers. Alright, and in the sake of being able to stack this thing, get the jack on it under here. Hold that up a little bit. Thank you, sir. Alright. I'm just going to set that right on top of the spring for right now. We'll clean up this other side. So what do I got on these? I got 2 hot lap sessions, a heat race, main event, another heat race, another main event, and a last chance qualifier. So that equates out to about 2-3 nights maybe worth of racing. Of course, it was kind of short on the laps but it was a half-mile track. So yeah, it was 2 to 3 nights of racing, and the bearings and stuff are still in pretty good shape. I'm gonna try to make a 5-night max maintenance schedule on these. Unless they're coming apart for something else, then I'll just go ahead and maintenance them the way that they are when they come out. So good and clean. Awesome. Just gonna set you right here for right now. And I got my bag. My grease bucket took a digger and the lid broke. The lid broke. So I cover it with a bag just to keep dirt out of it. So whatever works, man. That's all we care about. Can't knock it if it works. Alright, cool. So, in this case, what I'm going to do, stack these bad boys together. I'll take a little bit, just put it across the face of the thrust washer here. Alright, so I got the thrust washer, this one greased up a little bit. I'm just going to hang that on my hand here. And then this bearing, we're going to put some grease on it. You don't necessarily got to pack these, but get it greased up. You know, I didn't really pack it last time. All I did was make sure there was grease on both sides of it, and then rolled the bearing a little bit. I mean, that's not really, I guess you could call that packing the bearing, but that's not really packing the bearing. You know, that's just kind of covering it in grease. Cool. All right, so I got that covered in grease, that covered in grease. Cover this one in grease. All right. So, here we go. Here we have our packed bearing set. Packed. Not really packed, but you know what I meant. Light some extra grease on the off the outside, because don't need huge globs of grease in here just attracting dirt. You only need grease where you need it, right? So, see if I can jack this here jack up nice and slow. Slowly making its way in. All right, we have contact. All right, so we'll get this slid over. There we go. There we go. Jack it up just a couple more times. Get it shoved in there to where it's in the pocket. And I know it's in the pocket. Beautiful. Rotates nice. Bucket. We know that I broke spindle last time, so I'm going to double check my ball joints here for bent. I am not seeing a bend over here. really seeing a bend on this upper ball joint, which kind of crazy with how this thing broke, you know. Yeah, and twisting this thing, I'm not really seeing a bend. Wow, that's actually really surprising. Okay, cool, we'll run it. So the next piece to do is to install the brand new spindle. Bam. Okay, so I like to put a little bit of anti-seize on here so that they come apart. This time I need to make sure it actually gets where I wanted it, because I didn't exactly do a great job doing that last time. And it made it kind of tough to get off when it was broke. So this should help a little bit. Not like amazing, but a little bit. So we're gonna put some down below here. Okay. While I got it out, we'll do some up on the upper as well. A little lube never hurt nobody. All right, for grins and giggles, I'm gonna just give this a little whoop de whoop with some in it. Same thing with this one. There we go. All right, now we can't say I didn't try. All right, drop this down on. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, I got this. My wonderful, my spacer. Again, it's just a nut. But, you know, race cars, you do what you gotta do. My beautiful spacer. Just get it run down a little bit. Awesome sauce. Then we're gonna take this, shove it in. Put this one down a little bit too, because we're running down a drain. You know, if I was smart, I would have triple checked. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I didn't do that. I messed up here. I did not make sure. Good thing I anti-seized it. I did not make sure that my cotter pin hole was facing the right direction. So this is what happens when you get home on Friday and you're tired. You're just like, ooh, race car, gotta work race car. See, it's a good thing I anti-seized, because it's allowing it to twist real easy. Plus I didn't exactly clamp it down all the way, so. All right, so now that I got the hole lined up, I need just a little bit more so I can get the cotter pin in. There we go. Yep, that's it. Turn this ball joint the other direction. Again, I'm not paying attention when I'm putting these things together, and the cotter pin, you want to be able to actually get to it, so I had to turn the hole to where it would, you know, be useful. It looks to me, so this is, I ordered this one, this spindle this time from BHE, and it came pre-reamed down here. So that's kind of where I ran into this issue. My ream that I had on my spindle before was shallower than this. So this spindle sits down farther onto the ball joint, which makes it to where the nut, the castle nut here, doesn't, I mean, if it would just barely make contact with the cotter pin that comes through the bottom. So what we're gonna do is just add a washer. And I was being stupid because when I originally was putting this together, I went and got a bunch of washers to make sure that I had enough to space it out if I needed to. I'm over here freaking out trying to find a washer, but obviously I'm good to go. There we go. There we go. Shove your cotter pins in and you're good to go. My cotter pins are out in the trailer, so I'll have to remember to come back and do that. Yeah, my tie rod didn't look like it took any beating, so we're gonna go ahead and just reuse it. Alright, nice and tight. Rock and roll. If you're looking to shove that on. Boom. And I got a spacer that goes in mine down here. Around the bolt. There. I like to snug these up just a little bit at a time so that you get compression this way and compression this way. Just get it snug. There we go. And we'll do this. And click, click. Torque to perfection. There you have it. Now we have a spindle. Rock on, rock on, rock on. Out with the old, in with the new. This is some high dollar stuff we got going here. Oh, snap. All right. Chain limiter before, chain limiter after. All right, so things I know that need to happen. The bottom of this needs to attach roundabouts right here. We don't want this to interrupt or run into the control arm. So we know that for it to go straight up, this can end up getting mounted right about here. Only issue with that currently, if we look up here, where I want to put it, basically right where this zip tie's at, which is holding these lines. So cut this zip tie and move some stuff around. All right, so something you got to make sure you're doing is checking to see if you're gonna have the clearance you need. Right now, if I were to mount that in place right there, it would hit my brake line. If I mount it in place right there, it would not. So wherever you mount this on your control arm, make sure you're not, you know, running into anything that's super important. I might be able to bring this forward too, but I think I'm running out of chain. I'm already extended out to the max here. I think I am. I think I'm running out of chain. See, if I wanted to go way over there, I'd be out of chain. Got to bring it back a little bit. So, things to think about before you mount your chain. Bam! There we go. All right. definitely going to be tightening this stuff up as much as I can once I get it back on the ground. Okay, so I put this on. I got super lucky. It's got like that perfect what you want without adjusting the bearing spacers. That's awesome. I can't believe I lucked out like that. So, which really, I mean, if you think about it, it has to do with the space in between the races and the bearings and where they ride, which is inside this. So really it shouldn't change, I guess, if you think about it that way. I don't know, but rock on. All right, so got a buddy coming over today. We're gonna do some welding. Apparently I got some stress cracks going on my chassis here. They're kind of all over the place. I tried to mark them with my silver paint pen, but gonna have somebody who's a good welder come over and weld those up, since it's actually you know, those are important spots. So thank goodness for that. It's very apparent that a lot of stress went through this chassis when it was racing at Bristol, because there was a lot of little cracks and things. So hey, remember to make sure that you to go through your chassis every once in a while and just look for cracks. It's a thing to do. All right. Had my buddy Kyle come over and we welded up a bunch of the cracks. There was some crack down there, and we actually found another up here, but we got them all welded up and welded up these over here as well. So I'm going to gonna get some paint on them, and those should be good to go. We inspected the rest of the chassis, tried to find some spots, and didn't find anywhere else, but yeah, it's good to go, it seems. So that portion's done. We are now, well, we race it, it's Friday. No, man, it is Sunday now, and we race on Friday. So got until Thursday to get it figured out. Plus I still got to figure out the truck thing to be able to tow there, but I'm get it figured out. So we're getting closer. On to the next piece. All right, so gonna do shock stuff. Got to replace my bent shock here. I'm gonna move my shock guard to the new shock, and my other shock guard to the new shock as well. This thing really did its job. I mean, look at that bad boy. Did a really good job protecting the shock. High dollar. If you want one of these, you know, reach out. I'll sell them cheap. I just made this out of ABS pipe. So if that's something you guys want to know about how I made these, you know, let me know in the comments, and I can definitely go over how I made these. They're pretty nifty. I know this one's bent up, but I just use a zip tie to hold it on, which I don't even know if I need that because it's on there pretty good. But they just kind of, woo, yeah, this bad boy got beat up. So, but they get on there pretty good. In fact, I might have to, yeah, I think I'm going to use my screwdriver, just kind of shove it in the body here and pry it off, just get it started. See, and then it pops right off. Right. I'm actually very happy with this. So it did its job really, really well. Look at the body of the shock. Even though stuff over here bent and broke and slammed into it, the only real damage that this thing took was right here, and and it kind of dug into it a little bit, but it didn't really dent the body. It looks like it just ground away the outside of the body. So this shock, because of that, looks like it's going to be savable. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get this rebuilt. But you know, you look at this and you can see IMCA was stamped into it. It got hit so hard. And I mean, just look at the abuse this thing took. You know, big ding there, bunch of dingers right there. Imagine if that would have hit the shock body, then the shock would have been completely trashed. But I think, you know, new shaft, and that bad boy's rebuildable. So awesome. As far as shocks go, so I went with a kind of completely different shock than I would ever run when I went to Bristol, just because I was trying to do some timing stuff for Bristol. And I think I am going to do something completely different for here at home. Here at home, I have one racetrack that is pretty high banked. I'm going to be tearing this apart while we talk about this. That's decently high banked, quarter mile. I mean, we come into the, I think, 118, I think, is the top speed going into the corner. I think that's what they shot. That's the official, like, what's been shot with a gun, was 118 going into the corner. So that's my home track. Most everything else around here is pretty flat. I mean, I can't just say in comparison, right? Especially after going to Bristol. It is pretty flat for the most part, and it usually slicks off. Almost everywhere you go, it slicks off around here. It's Nevada, so we're racing in the desert. It's really hard to keep water in it. We don't have a really good high quality clay around here. We have like dry lake bed clay that most tracks try to mix in. Some tracks mix in some type of a chemical to try to retain moisture or create grip, make it force the issue to make it take rubber to try to make grip, or they dump a bunch of water to it and make it really tacky. You know, they mix manure in there, they mix usually wood chips, things like that, because we also have a really high alkali content in our dirt around here. So by mixing in all that bio stuff, it brings the alkali down, and which is really good, because that alkali stuff likes to eat tires and eat other things. So, you know, keeping that down, but it also helps it the clay bind together a little bit better. So we either get a hammer down super heavy track that ruts up. It usually gets really rough when it's like that, holes, you know, all that stuff, or it usually goes dry slick really fast, and most of the time it doesn't really rubber up in the way that a lot of other tracks do. So it usually just gets really slick. Now I'm just saying that as a majority of the time. It's not necessarily the case every time, man. There's been some times when the track's rubbered up just beautiful, and it's black from top to bottom, but there's grip from top to bottom. Like, it's weird. You know, you just got to read your track for your day, right? But since it's like that, and I usually end up in traffic, because we're talking about short quarter miles, and for the most case, a lot of people have told me that all of our tracks here locally are pretty narrow. I will have to defer to them and say, yes, okay, so we have narrow, but it's what I'm used to, so I don't think they're very narrow. But from what other people have told me, they believe that they're narrow, that our track's pretty narrow. So it makes it, their complaint is, you know, they can't just roar and have all the room in the world to go around people. You actually end up having to drive through traffic, get on the brake, zigzag through, you know, stuff like that, because there's not a whole lot of space from other people's opinions, right? I don't know. I always think there's plenty of room to race as long as you race each other clean. There's always room to race. You can find a spot to get past somebody to clean, but that's a little off topic. So I'm going to talk about my shock that I'm going to choose for here locally. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I found that in the past I was always going a little going into traffic, and I'd have to check up, and it'd upset my car, and just not 100% what I wanted, right? So I'm gonna go with a stiff, and plus I usually feel like I'm always fighting a loose end problem. Granted, I've done a lot of things to my car since then, but I always felt like I was fighting a loose end problem, especially on these dry slick tracks, you know. So I was always wanting to tighten it up, not necessarily crazy, but I want to get that right rear to dig in to where I can feel it and really get that drive going around. So I think I'm going to go with a higher compression shock on the left front, since I'm replacing it. That's going to promote a roll onto the right front, which is going to promote weight transfer to the right rear, right? And it's not going to transfer as much weight to the left front. It's because it's a timing device, right? So it's gonna promote that first. And if I get in traffic, like coming into the corner, it's gonna help me when I get on the brake. It's gonna help promote that versus vice versa. You know, if I'm getting in traffic and I have a low compression shock, it'll, in comparison to like the right front, it'll transfer weight to the left front instead of the right front, and it'll create, you know, it'll delay that weight transfer to the right side. So at least this is the way that I'm thinking about it. In the comments below, if you think I'm completely out in left field, go ahead and comment. We can discuss. Everybody's got their different theories on shocks and stuff, but this is just something that I want to try. So heavier compression on the left front, and then a lighter rebound. I'm actually almost going completely opposite of what I was running before, but a lighter rebound, which will promote basically it'll rebound faster, and mixture of the limit chain and all that jazz. It should promote weight transfer back to the left side, so to the left rear, to get that drive off that I want. So that's going to be the goal. Whether it's true or not, we're going to find out. Can't knock it till you try it, right? So, and if you're okay with the speed that you're currently running, don't make any changes. If you want to go faster, try some new stuff. So you never know what you're going to like. So so we're going to give it a shot. All right, so gonna finally try to go race tomorrow. What? Rattlesnake Raceway in Fallon, Nevada. Gonna try to go race. Still kind of got to figure out handful of things like how I'm gonna tow my car there, but I'll get it figured out. Plus I gotta get fuel and a couple other things taken care of. But got the left front fixed up. Got my new limiting chain in place. Topped off some fluids, did an oil change, cleaned up my air cleaner. You know, I think we're pretty close to being ready to rock and roll. Had to fix up the hood, added some patches. Added some big patches on the inside of the hood because they had completely gotten gutted. And actually, like this side, from the air pushing down at Bristol, it just completely sank the hood down onto the hood pin mounts that I had, and it kind of gutted it out. So got those fixed up. Did a handful of small things. I still got a couple little things I got to do, like check my toe and stuff like that. But car's basically ready to race. Put some gear lube in the back because I had to put my gears back in. I rejetted the carburetor, all that happy stuff. So we're gonna hopefully figure out how we're gonna tow it out to Fallon and hit the season opener over there and get to go race. So fingers crossed.